Well, I think everybody has the opportunity to be a valuable client, and that's part of being a creative. It's up to us to find the gold. It's up to us to find what matters. And that's what part of being creative is. It's not just happening the moment you pick up a camera and you set up your lights. It's also happening every time you have the privilege to connect with somebody.
Hey, and welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And we're here with Jonathan and Steve. And we're going to talk about one of Jonathan's favorite subjects and one of Steve's favorite subjects. That is Facebook marketing. But we're going to talk about it in a certain context, right? So, Jonathan, what context are we going to talk about it? What's the title of this podcast?
You're putting me on the spot there. I have to remember the title of the podcast. I don't have it up in front of me, but I believe it's From Crickets to Clients, Facebook Marketing Made Simple, right?
There you go. Look at you.
Well done. So keep it simple, Jono. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Imagine my memory still works. It's great.
So for people like me, what's a cricket? Is that where you got the bat and the ball and the guys are all dressed in white, or the women are dressed all in white, or what are we talking about?
Steve, that's totally a you analogy because you came up with crickets, right?
Well, crickets mean that there's nothing happening and that there's nothing disturbing the crickets. So they're happy to be sending out their signals to attract people, other crickets to them. I don't know how to say it politely.
Okay. So crickets means there's nothing happening.
Nothing.
And we're going to show and talk about how you can use Facebook to create great clients, right? That's what we're going to talk about. Great.
And it's what we face every day as mentors. People seem to wait until there's absolutely nothing happening and they're desperate before they'll reach out and look for help, rather than, we need to understand that every elite athlete has a coach and they're coached even when they are at their peak of success. It's when they need coaching the most. But it seems like in our industry, everybody seems to wait until there's crickets and then reach out. Save me is I think I've heard that 3 times this week. Can you please save me? And so hopefully with this podcast, we're going to get to people before they get to that point where they need to be saved. And there's absolutely nothing happening because, that shouldn't be happening at all.
Because when you need saving, you're desperate, right? and when you're desperate, it's hard to have the confidence that your clients borrow from you, right? To borrow your phrase, Steve, your clients borrow their confidence from you. So that's if you're desperate, that's difficult.
You're not in the best mindset to serve your clients and in the best mind to be giving them the best service because it's coming from a place of desperation.
So when it comes to Facebook marketing, because I see people get this wrong so much, can we talk about like the definition and the purpose and like what it's intended to do? Because so often I see photographers, like they'll try out an ad and not only will they get everything wrong about the setup of the ad and all that fun stuff and their messaging and all of that, but they don't understand the purpose. They think that they can put up an ad and they're going to, every single person that sees the ad is going to click on it, book themselves in and be pre-qualified to spend 10 grand with them.
Okay. So can I take that? So what I see often that they think sales and marketing are the same, and they're not, but they're related. So if you imagine a married couple, right? They're a partnership, but they're 2 separate people. Yeah. So your marketing is about earning the conversation. It's about reaching out to people, speaking their language, where they raise their hands and say, I'd like to talk to you a bit more about what you have. That's marketing. And sales is when you start your conversation with them. So they are related because they're related from the point of view is that, they have to be joined, right? They're a couple, right? But they're also 2 individual things.
Yeah. And when it comes to Facebook marketing specifically, our goal is to attract potential clients. So, put our messaging out there that resonates with who we want to attract. And I know Steve's going to talk about that more in depth soon. But once we've attracted that potential client, as you said, we have to earn the conversation. And then on the discovery calls is when we create great clients.
Sounds so
They're
easy.
not created from the ad.
So we nearly have to work in reverse, Steve, don't we? We need to know who our client is before we start our marketing, because that's something we see a lot too, right? Where people just, I'm going to create an ad, I'm going to put it out there and see what happens. And they speak to nobody, right? Nobody, they don't connect with anybody because they don't even know who they're talking to.
I think through the filter of desperation, people are just throwing something out there and hoping that it sticks. And so they're looking for people who want their work and their photography. But it's not defined enough. And it's really important that, first of all, you identify your target market. Who is that person that you would love to wake up every day and serve? Who is that person that you want, would love to work, the opportunity to work with, and define that person. And often we see, I think people get confused, and you mentioned this even this morning, where they get confused between setting up the Facebook ad, where we have to define the age group and the demographics, and it's very different to understanding the client and who we are trying to attract. I recently looked at somebody's ad and somebody's, definition of who they're looking for, and this is a boudoir studio, and they were looking for women aged between 29 and 50 was her first line, and already it's speaking to nobody, because a woman of 30 looking for boudoir is a very different woman to a woman of 40. Their reasons, their secret desires, their what they want to get out of this experience is very different to a 30-year-old, and then is very different to a 50-year-old, and then is very different to a 60-year-old. And so you can market to each of them, but you would speak to them and market to them separately, because you're allowed to have multiple ads running at the same time, aren't you, Jono?
Absolutely.
And so when you target that 30-year-old and speak her language and give her all the reasons why she would want to be coming in, because you understand who she is. And then when you speak to that 40-year-old, her reasons are different. And so then your ad would speak to all of those reasons that a 40-year-old would want to come in for a boudoir experience with you. And so those two ads would run separately and attract, will somebody who's 35 click on it? Yes. On a 30-year-old ad. Will the 40 or 50-year-old still click on a 30-year-old? Yes. But you want to be targeting one person. It may attract others, but you're mainly going to be speaking to that 30-year-old because you understand who that is. Then you want to be speaking to your 40-year-old if you want to do those that bracket as well. But of course, because Facebook asks us to pick an age range that we want to be sending the ad to, I think people get confused because of what Facebook demands and what we need to understand for our marketing.
All right. So we need to understand who is our ideal client and the reason why they'll want to book an experience with us, what they secretly desire from the experience.
Yeah, why do they tend to want it? And each bracket will want, and each genre will want something completely different. What's their why? What do they tend to say they want when they come in?
So, Jonathan, you see that often photographers don't understand what Facebook marketing is in terms of, it's direct response marketing, right? And they seem to talk about this idea of, well, I just want quality clients. Can you talk to that for a moment?
Yeah, well, we all know that, as Steve says, great clients are made, not found, right? So we have the potential to see, to create a great client based on our discovery calls. But from a Facebook ads perspective, our primary mission is to, as Steve said, understand who we're talking to, create compelling ad copy that's going to resonate with those people, with the goal of. So I use the Super Bowl analogy sometimes. So at the Super Bowl, there's like, I don't know how many people watch it. I can't remember the exact numbers, like 15 million or 7.5 million, whatever the number is, right? 100 million. I can't remember the exact number. But let's pretend it's 100 million. Of those 100 million people that see an ad for the Super Bowl, right? Not all of those 100 million people are going to be interested in what that ad has to offer, right? But a percentage are. So that's kind of like Facebook. So when you're running your Facebook ad, your goal is to stop the scroll and then speak to people who resonate with who you're trying to serve. And if the people that read that ad decide to continue scrolling, great, because we want to be magnetic. We want to attract the people that resonate with our messaging and repel the people who don't. Okay, because not everyone, we're not trying to attract absolutely everyone. We're trying to speak to one person, right? So the goal is to basically get people who our messaging is speaking to put up their hands and fill out a form, right? Fill out a form with their name, their phone number, their email, their the answer to our compelling question that we ask on the form.
That's a big ask. That's a big, like a lot of people don't realize that when you're asking people to give you their contact details, like it's a big ask of them, right? And that's why your ad copy has to resonate. They have to see themselves in that ad copy, and they have to see that you can help them in some way, whether that's to celebrate something or to reconnect with somebody they feel they've lost, or to reconnect with a partner. They have to see that in the ad copy, right?
Yeah, and what Steve has with the avatar framework, talking about what they secretly desire, what are their fears, what are their frustrations. The ad copy formula follows that. It follows that system. It wasn't intentionally designed like that. It's just a happy coincidence that, thinking the same way, in that you have your call out, you have, the problem that they have, you're agitating that problem or fear, frustration, then you're presenting a solution, which is what they secretly desire. And then you're presenting them with an offer and a call to action, so they match up.
So you brought up ad copy formula, and I think you've just described it, but for those people who don't know, maybe just clarify exactly what this magical ad copy formula is, because I think most people go in to Facebook and don't really think of a structure at all. And so what you're talking about is a structure, but this is your thing. So you talk to it. What exactly is an ad copy formula, Jono?
Yeah, so most people go in, as you said, with like a one-liner. I'm an award-winning photographer and photograph boudoir. Click here to book me. Right? Whereas the ad copy formula is designed to speak to a client, but also understanding psychologically that there are people out there who, when you look at their state of awareness, like some people have a problem, but they're not even aware that they have that problem. Right? There's people who are aware of that they have a certain problem, but they don't know how to solve that problem. There's people who are aware they have the problem and they know there's a solution, but they don't know what the solution is yet. The specific solution for them. And there's people who have a problem and they know that there's solutions out there to solve that problem, but they don't know which one is best for them. Right? So the ad copy formula is designed to speak to and give people at all stages of awareness an opportunity to put up their hand. So if you look at the structure, first of all, it starts with, a hook or a call out or a question to get people that we want to speak to engaged.
So you want them to say yes, pretty much. You want to ask them something where they're going to say yes. And so, get
them to say an implied yes. Ask a question that has an implied yes answer that they're going to say yes to, because that's going to continue them down. One of the principles of influence is commitment and consistency by Robert Cialdini. And once you start something, your brain wants to finish it. So by saying yes, yes, yes over and over again, they're going to continue. Right? So you're calling out, asking an implied yes question. the next step is to present the problem. So make them aware of the problem, because some people mightn't be aware of the problem. When you're speaking to this, you want them, as they're reading it, to say, oh yeah, I have that problem, right? And we all know that people buy an emotion. So the next step in the structure, once we've made them aware, is to agitate that problem further. So we want to go a little bit deeper emotionally to make them realize, yes, that's me. I have this problem. You're bringing it into the emotion to make your solution more desirable. And then, so when you go to present your solution and you're talking about, you start talking more about their secret desires here and showing how the solution of the experience, the photographic experience, is going to solve that problem for them. So the first, so the ad copy structure, the call out, you poke the problem, making them aware, you agitate that problem, and then you present your solution.
And what's most important to know, John, I think, is that when we see people following the formula, they get great results.
Yes.
And I think it's important for everybody to know that when, Jono's been teaching this, and when we see ad copy that is following the structure, that exact structure, they're getting results. And so it's important that there is a structure to what you're doing, and that you're following that structure when you're creating your ads.
But it has to be personalized to the client that we want, right? Because while this is the structure and the formula or the framework, every ad will be different depending on who we're talking to, right?
Yeah, and this is another marriage, right? It's a marriage between understanding your client, that person, and the structure and what Facebook needs in order to deliver it, so that the right people so that you've got people that see it. And it's more about attracting the right people because you're speaking their language, because people like themselves, and the more you can speak their language and understand them, the more likely they will be attracted to the ad, and the more likely they will be compelled to click that learn more button or whatever that is for you.
And we do tell them that they have to value photography in this framework, and therefore our clients spend $5,000 on average, right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, it needs to be clear that that's what they are responding to, that they are responding to an ad for photography. And we sometimes see that.
They're absolutely joking, by the way, about saying that, right? No, you never. Oh, goodness.
Well, waiting for you to jump in there, John.
I know. I was like, what are they saying? No, absolutely not. You do not ask them if they value photography and if they have 5,000 ready to give us. Absolutely not.
They should be pre-qualified with that before you even. No, I'm joking.
We see this all the time, though, don't we? That we even see photographers advertise this, that they put every possible barrier in the way of the client saying, I'm interested, before they even have a conversation with the client.
Yes. So anyway, on to the next step.
That took you a long time to come in there, John. I was expecting you to jump in a lot earlier.
Well, I was just shell-shocked. So I was just like, my mind had to process. What are they saying? Who abducted Ron and Steve? Who are these clones? So the next step is presenting your offer. So let's talk about the offer. So a lot of people believe that an offer is something that, devalues things, right? They're afraid. A lot of photographers seem to be afraid to present an offer. But every single brand out there has some sort of offer, right? The offer is just that extra enticement to get people to click on the ad and fill out the form, right? And typically it's composed of, it's a gift certificate, right? With an amount, a gift certificate with a value that can be used towards the session and gives them an amount to spend towards the purchase of their artwork. Yeah. It includes the discovery calls in your offer stack. It includes the design consultation.
The photo session.
The photo session. How could I forget the photo session?
Don't forget the photo session.
The photo session and your amount to spend towards artwork. And a lot of people think, I can't do like an offer. That's crazy. Like every single company that is successful in the world that I see has some sort of offer. Right. So the next step is, after presenting your solution, we want that offer is going to be enticing and valuable to our clients, potential clients.
It's interesting you should say that, Jonathan, because often you hear, well, we're a luxury brand and luxury brands don't have offers. And I'm trying to remember the shop that our fellow mentor Janine was in New York.
Tiffany's.
Was it Tiffany's? And it was, I think it was the Chanel shop in Tiffany's, was it?
They're two separate things, I think.
Are they two separate things? Okay, well, it was a big brand. Are Tiffany's a luxury brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it was Tiffany's then. Okay, see how much I'm into luxury brands. I don't do
Ronan
brands.
and I aren't into luxury brands. We don't do luxury brands.
Steve should be talking about the luxury brands.
Tiffany's is a completely different brand to Chanel.
Okay, great. So she was in Tiffany's
Blue box,
and
white bag with black.
Okay.
With the black Chanel symbol.
So she was in Tiffany's in New York somewhere, and she's walking around. She goes in anyway, and they had this offer where you could buy these gift certificates, and they were giving you extra. So, for example, if you bought a gift certificate for $1,000, you got a gift certificate worth $1,250. Right. You know, so that's an example of an offer from a luxury brand, right? They do it. Just open your eyes, guys. Tiffany's, Steve, in New York.
I'll be back in a minute.
You're funny.
So then once we've put together our offer, which we typically have like what we call a value stack, which is a list of all the valuable items on it with a value attached to them. We then have, after that, we have some scarcity, some implied scarcity, like, we want this to appear, so people value things that are scarce, right? So we want to put out the message that, and you don't want to lie about this, you want to tell the truth, but, we only have 3 or 4 experiences available, this week, this month, whatever the number is, to give that extra nudge to take action today so that they don't miss out. So you're using a couple of psychological principles here. You're increasing the value, the perceived value, because you're showing that it's scarce. And you're also introducing FOMO, fear of missing out, by them in their heads thinking an urgency, like if I don't take action today, I mightn't get this, have an opportunity to get this. So that's where we have our implied scarcity.
And a lot of people need that in order to take action, because a lot of people, need that sense of urgency in order to take that action. So it's important.
Absolutely. So the 7th step, or in the formula, is showing authority. So Ron and Steve, this is where every photographer should write, I'm an award-winning photographer and I've won 10 awards. And,
showing authority. Is that what you said? Showing authority.
Showing authority. Yes.
Authority. Okay.
Authority.
Yeah. So that's where we talk about all of our awards, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if you're on the World Cup team, you should put it out there, right? Your clients want to know that. They want to be photographed by a World Cup qualified photographer.
No, this is absolutely not what you do. So just discount what the 3 of us said. We're just being facetious. What showing authority means is, as Steve mentioned earlier, that people like themselves. And it's about showing that you are just like them, or have helped people just like them, that you understand them. That's what showing authority is.
So that's where the testimonials will come in.
Yeah. Or you just share that, if you're working with, children, and, your ad is speaking to a mom who wants a certain thing, you show that, I'm a mom myself, and I'm a mom of a fur baby, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And just showing that you understand them, basically. And then the final, most important step, that's absolutely critical.
So many miss it.
You need a call to action. Unfortunately, people aren't resourceful. They can't seem to think critically. You got to tell people what to do. So literally the last line of your ad copy has to be, press the learn more button now to take the next step. And we even put in some emojis with the downward pointing finger to show them that the learn more button is below this.
People don't really miss that, do they, Johnny?
Yes, they do.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so listen to that one.
Yeah.
Get your next step, call to action happening.
So can I just recap where we are? So I know my client, I follow the framework. So every person who clicks on that button is going to be a quality client.
Oh, Ronan. We already talked about great clients are made, not found.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
All I hear all the time is, well, I'm not getting quality leads from Facebook anymore. So like, what's a quality lead then if I'm doing this? Like, what's the difference between a quality lead and a quality client? I know great clients are made, not found, but what's the difference between a quality lead and a lead?
I think a lot of people get a lot more quality leads if they already believe that it's a quality client and they treat it like it's a quality client waiting to happen. And I think this whole perception of I have a lead almost needs to be eradicated, because what you have is a potential client, a potential quality client, and great clients are made, not found. And sometimes when you hear people on the phone, you can already hear the judgment or the anticipation that these people are not going to book, or that they are going to book, and the results are very different.
And so what you're telling me is that, like, if these photographers who think that way were gold prospectors, they'd be really poor gold prospectors, right? Because they would expect to prospect for gold, and every little shiny piece they see is gold and not pyrite.
Yeah. Well, when I've done studio takeovers, and we've had nothing to work with, often there are already leads in the database, or sometimes there are leads, physical paper leads wrapped in brown paper bag and string, holding the door open. And, we've tripped over them, and this has actually happened where I've tripped over it. And I said, what is this? And, they went to an expo and got people to fill in paper forms a year ago. And they said, no, we've already gone through those. They're rubbish. Or in some cases, there was another pile where they hadn't gone through any of them at all. But I specifically went through the ones that apparently were rubbish and had all been gone through. And we booked, I think, 15 people in the first week from those supposedly rubbish leads. And I think it's the way you approach it. I think it's about understanding those people. And having done lots of expos myself, and having clients that will buy certificates from multiple photographers and go to each of those photographers to get what they're entitled to. The clients come in saying, I've already had 3 shoots, we're not going to spend anything. But when you treat them like a valuable client, those same clients who refuse to spend any money anywhere at any of the other photographers have turned around and spent thousands with us. And it is about understanding them and giving them the value that they need in order to book and in order to spend with you.
It's a mindset, Ron. Quality leads is a mindset.
So you mean it's a whole lot of crapology, really? That's what you really mean, right?
Well, I think everybody has the opportunity to be a valuable client, and it's up to us and that's part of being a creative. It's up to us to find the gold. It's up to us to find what matters. And that's what part of being creative is. It's not just happening the moment you pick up a camera and you set up your lights. It's also happening every time you have the privilege to connect with somebody. And part of being a creative is finding something that matters to somebody enough to warrant you picking up the camera and creating something with that in mind to fulfill and deliver something that really matters to that client and give that back to them forever.
Right.
Because what we create should be something that's treasured.
Okay, Steve, Jonathan, you've convinced me. I want to know more. What do I do?
So all you have to do as Ronan jumps to discover how to make Facebook ads simple and make them work for you is to click the link below this video and sign up for the Inner Circle. So inside the Inner Circle, you will join a community of thriving photographers who want to see you succeed and who will go above and beyond to help you to achieve your version of success, as well as having access to the mentor team here at the Difference Maker Revolution, the incredible training courses, the coaching calls. It's incredible. So what are you waiting for? Get your butts in here.
Thank you all. See you on the next one.
Thanks,
Bye for
everyone.
now.
Bye.
See you later.